Hey, you guys. It's MJ from All to Love. How are you? So, I always love a share that is about love. It excites me when a download like this comes in because it's obviously very relevant to All to Love's mission. And it usually comes after some pretty heavy duty emotional storming, when you're just facing life head on and endeavoring to make choices via integrity. Hi, Susanna, Amanda Spirit Windwalker. How are you, my friend? And like living in truth with your own heart and the heart of freedom and the heart of compassion in a world that sometimes really feels like it's lost its way, hence the title share, Love is the Way. And we're talking about a love that is beyond the veil. So it's beyond our like five senses perception of 3D reality. And it's a very like visceral, expansive love. And this is ultimately what we'd call our connection to source, our connection to the Holy Spirit, and really our connection to all that is, our connection to one another. That's our kind of empathic feeling connection where we're like, oh, what does it mean to be alive? And there's like this entirety and this beautiful unfolding and co-creation and expansion and evolution. We have all these different words for describing our own experience of God, ultimately, like of source, of our own, like, oh my God, and how wonderful is this? Hi, Amit, how are you? So, love is the way is this whole, returning to the kingdom, returning to thyself, and us ultimately, because we're in this sort of dire situation where all of our collective fear and division and separation is all really coming out to the fore, all of our darkness, all of our hidden aspects, right? And so we're breaking through. It's kind of intense. There's a lot of depth and there's a lot of um big decisions and big collective turning points that are happening, that are very real, and they're happening in our personal lives as much as they're unfolding in different layers across the human collective energy field and beyond, depending on whatever frequencies and dimensions you hang out in. We're all a part of something great that is unfolding here on earth. And aren't we lucky to be alive? Aren't we lucky to be in these human forms? And at the same time, it's this wild ride, right? And I guess I feel safe in the knowing of being supported in love and surrendering to love and surrendering to the heart and surrendering and like not being under any illusion of like knowing anything for certain to say yes, this is the definite thing, but having this recognition from within my own beingness and my own life experience that like there's this love inside of us that if we really give into it, if we really allow it to like feel and be present with whatever it is that we're experiencing, we seem to break through and continue to have this most amazing and miraculous unfolding and continual feeling of being supported in our beingness, no matter the circumstances. And that's a big piece in all of this stuff, is that it's like when you really just start enjoying the journey, the ups and the downs, right? So contrast, i.e. light and dark, highs and lows, ups and downs, it's always contained in love's way. So when we are in these forms, this polarity is always there, but our ability to kind of hang back in the love vibrashe is also the gift of our spirit, the gift of our godliness. And it's something that our the collective consciousness is ushering this love's awakening so that more of us can drop the bullshit, drop the entanglement, drop the constructs, the limitations in our mind and in our hearts that are actually really destroying our humanity, right? Destroying, and again, it's all part of the veil. It's part of the stories that we're telling, and it's up to us as individuals to unravel them. And again, it continues to just be this like, oh my God, this is so powerful stuff, you know? I know, Amit, and I know, and this is the thing. Here, this is the juice of the life, is that this energy is so real for so many of us of like, ah, like, how much can I take? And ultimately there is a piece here, is that I think these are continual shifts and turning points. We are coming into spring. There is a like, whoa, and let's face it, when big shifts are coming, the resistance is going to be even stronger. The kickback is going to be even stronger. But every shift that we're going through, it's like, enough. I'm ready now. We are ready. We are ready. And yet we're anchored in a practice which is real to our humanity ultimately. And this is part of the humility and the grace and the benevolence and the true abundance that comes from the love within us. That's what we're continuously surrendering to, and it is rippling out. And that is part of the delay. And even the delay is a cleansing, such a purifying and a cleansing that's happening within our field, that it it's almost like the surrendering is literally just washing any ego stuff clean. We have no other choice now to but continue to let go, and be that transparent space. And yet within that, we know the truth of it. It means it is beyond our imagination, that the changes that are coming are going to make manifest some beautiful turning points in our collective storytelling. And we are that change ultimately. We live it by feeling it. We express it in all that we are and all that we do. It's like, it's beyond even what our words can express. It's something that's happening continuously and has been always happening, and it's just rising up in these waves. And in truth, we know that we always are given that choice, and that's part of getting to these continual depths and being pushed. How much can we push ourselves? Any fighter, anything that knows that stamina, that endurance is required for real profound transformation and change. It's not a small endeavor. And this is why we're all showing up for one another. We need one another to support each other through the process of change, global change. The beauty that we can know is that we've already done it. That's why we're seeing all of it and bottoming out so hardcore on the emotional front. That's the thing about being wiped clean. So many around now are just hitting their rock bottom as far as doing the full review of the ancestral, the full karmic backlog through various timelines and cycles are now all being cleansed. So it is a monumental endeavor that we're undertaking. So again, hence the compassion, self-compassion, self-love, and yet the clarity to make the choices that are fundamental to our spiritual evolution and growth, which again is just love's way. It's just us becoming more loving, more feel good, and recognize that at this point in the journey for the collective, the disparity in making these leaps is monumental. So those that are making these leaps into the creatorship, it keeps getting kind of bigger and bigger. Hence the bottoming out of more extremism. So we're continuing, and we're choosing it. It's super annoying. It is like annoying when we're in the depths of those waves that keep bombarding us, and at the same time, I gotta say, I think we're doing a great job, because I'm aware of like each level we are rising, and then we are clearing out more, and then we are sort of harmonizing and reaching out and becoming more clear and getting better at honoring the intuition, right? I don't know. I don't know my bloodline at all. You guys know that random story. This is also stuff of like my random awareness is that I both my parents are adopted. So I don't actually know like for certain any ancestry, which is also interesting because it's like completely intuitive for me as far as like being guided to England, knowing there's Celtic and, you know, Irish, probably. See, not sure. Um, King David, Apostle Paul. Um, uh, like, I don't know if that's a biblical reference, actually. I can see your aura tonight. It's purple blue. Who I was having a call with somebody, and I'm sure they were also picking up. They were seeing green and green, maybe, or another color. I'm not sure. That's cool. I see colors inside meditation. I don't often see in like real time the stuff, the love. Oh, stretch, stretch, you guys. A stretch is always good. Mm. Interesting. Yeah. You know, I delve in and out of that stuff. I certainly do, and I have moments of it when I'm in meditation or just going through healing and clearing. Um, you know, at different moments, I've had insights about tribal ancestry, certainly like cosmic origins and you know cosmic travels and stuff like that. Um, and in this planetary realm, I have visions and certain memory and then connections to different you know collective stories as well. And yet and here's the thing for me, and I res with some of you around like not getting you know always too much there is like um everyone has their different point of attraction. Not all beings are actually carrying the same kind of karmic backlog as it were, and or the same ancestry obviously, and so we all have our own um I want to say a cache. We all have our own, which again is up to us to outwork, right? Which is all part of us deciphering, you know, deducing what's real for me, what's what's truly in honor of like my higher self. What are things that I'm facing and working with in my patterned reality? How authentic and kind of divine can my expression be as I walk on this planet? And knowing that as individuals, we're all learning via contrast. So we're all learning via our own spectrum of light and dark, right? And hence non-judgment and compassion and responsibilities. Like it's all within the self. And anytime we're trying to kind of control or manipulate the external, which is different than following the intuitive guidance, this is where our discernment and our inner work is really kind of can help us navigate situations is that it's not about denying what we have to face when it comes to making decisions in this reality, and sometimes we're being guided from the higher self as far as you know this is how it feels most optimal for us to move forward versus denying stuff that's going on and not talking about it to try to like keep everything status quo. Right. So that's again love's way. Like where are we operating from this broader like wanting the best for everybody, or from this kind of fearful needing to like control everything and everyone kind of thing. And that requires discernment, and like what can we do? We're always learning from our experience, and we can continue to like own it and like face it all and be with it all and sit with it all, and like you know I honor the fact this is why I do what I do for a living. This is part of the life path that I've chosen. I spend a lot of time in meditative reflection, in like feeling into these sort of energies and aligning with certain frequencies from within, and then observing life unfolding through different cycles and honoring how it feels good to make those choices, and can reflect back to you, especially again increasingly in this sort of age of information and also distraction, that it is a discipline. It's a choice in any given moment to always like drop into the love. And here's the thing, even when, if I'm sad or if I'm having a low day or if I'm having a down day, I can still be in love with myself in those days. That's part of the practice. That's part of developing, like I'll talk about with the fearless love, God. It's part of developing personal love rituals, is that they eventually become your new default setting instead of self-loathing patterns. And then the new love ritual kind of support you through the challenges of life and the ups and downs. But we're never here to like just escape those realities of life, those realities of a chosen life of contrast, which we at some point in our in our soul's growth and evolution as a being, we just surrender to that there's always going to be this flow, there's always going to be this sort of ebb and flow, this breath of life. That's the miracle of it. That's the juice of it, right? Of like, why do we let it, why do we want to endeavor these downturns and these low points and this sickness and this pain and this betrayal, so that we can learn how to rise out of it and continue to hold space for it for as long as we need to, but know that it's not our fucking contract to stay there. We can wipe the slate clean and say, wowzers, thanks a lot for the dynamic learning. Thanks a lot for showing me the depth of my own darkness. Yeah. So that I can face it down over and over again as long as I need to. Devil, get thee behind me. The truth is the love, for sure. For sure. We've been down the other route. That just leads to darkness and despair perpetual. We can continue to, even in the darkness, be like, I believe in love. I believe in love, hot vibrashe, And yeah, we can always say it's easy for them to say, or it's easy for me to say, because it is. And I'm lucky. But, that's a perpetual choosing as well. And I see sometimes in my brothers and sisters, they're not choosing that. And I will continue to ask of myself to keep choosing that, and know that whatever I receive in benevolence from this divine universe, that it's mine to share and to give, and to end this insanity of hoarding and stealing and raping and pillaging and exploiting and oppressing, and just be like, let's just be real. And we all know the difference. I think this is thing. We're getting good at knowing the difference, right? Good night, Amit. Oh, so much love for you. For sure. Tree Hugger Dave Mahoney. Guys, I love our the YouTube handle vibrashe. The good side, not the bad side. Yeah, I'm a little bit more aware of these different kind of constructed veils via the planetary alignments as well. It's like the planetary energetic matrix. Which is also part of our reclaiming our sovereignty. And it's like disentangling the codependent relationships of the planets. And reclaiming our sovereignty, being like, guys, we're good. We don't need your intermingling energies anymore, but thanks a lot for the progress. It's kind of like that. When it comes down to the truth of the battle, that's the epic Star Wars vibrashe is when it comes down to the truth of it, light is always going to conquer in that regard, but not from a place of I must control it and dominate it, because at some point the darkness has a limitation belt in co-creation and multidimensionality. So the lightness within us as a soul that is attuned to that level of awareness and manifestation, and in a kind of broader perspective that can just kind of feel into the changes that are necessary to kind of harmonize the old patterning, which again is just vision through this darker perspective, the light will naturally evolve it. It's just kind of once you attune to the love, you kind of just can rest in the knowing. That's all these divine teachings that come out, right? Because love is the way. The truth shall set you free. Thine is the kingdom. The love is in our heart. The love is in our ability to just love the shit out of ourselves. I say that because we all know what that means. Like in the moment, what it means is like crying out the shit, crying out the pain, facing our own shadows, being like, why did I create this thing? And it's just like feeling the reality of that thing and then going, okay, so that was kind of intense. Maybe I could choose something different and then walk that different path based on the awareness from cycles of ages of learning through oppression and darkness and separation, and then regroup, basically have a good old meditation relaxation session and then regroup and try again. Like that's the thing again about every breath and every moment, and certainly every day we have an opportunity to start again. We have, anytime you drop into meditation, anytime you go, this is part of the practice. Again, like developing these personal love rituals is like in any moment we can choose that. I mean, and this is part of sharing transparently with you guys, is like in any moment I can dip back into that other person and like start worrying and like getting all trapped in that, and then I'll notice it and be like, well, this doesn't feel good, and like, oh, I know about this story. I'm like, huh? Like, and then it's like, take a good hard look at yourself and what you're actually doing. And then make a change, set up some yoga classes, do some volunteering at the local charity job, where I'm like, I can just go clean and like be of service truly, like in a real way. And which is new for me. And it's kind of like all these things are coming in a way that I never imagined. And yet weirdly, it feels fantastic. So I'm like, okay, did it. But there was the depths over these last few months of kind of going into these, what is that? What's happening? It all seems to be spinning out of control. And yet I made this leap and I'm vibrating and doing what I'm, asking myself. But again, this as you traverse the void of cosmic creation, that you must be in the unknown. You must let go of everything of old. And then like, there's always going to be this phase of like, not doubt, purgatory or whatever. Like, it's all just like, your worst fears are all coming at you. And then slowly but surely, if you just commit, and this is the thing, is like, I've always lived this life where I've not had nets. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how I did this in my soul's growth, but as a child, I learned some pretty heavy duty lessons. And so I've always lived kind of balls out. Again, I have great compassion, so it's all right. But like, and I've been a fool. I've had lots of humiliating, embarrassing, just like, but again, it kind of breeds that grit. Anyway, so I've never really had nets. And so when you don't have nets, you really do kind of force yourself to like keep going, which is a theme in this book. Just keep going. Just keep believing. Just keep loving. And this is kind of, where I continue to just like face down the fears, because when you don't give yourself nets, I would say you fast track. Although that could be that could be a little bit of an ego manipulation ploy. I'm not sure. But I sort of think that in my own life. I'm like, come on, like learn some really powerful, intense life lessons. And like just keep leaping to the point that you're just like, and like you're in the middle of the void no matter what. So you're kind of, you've just got to keep on. And then you do. And I swear to God, eventually you've really risen to different heights that you never imagined possible. And your body's just always kind of catching up with your life. And then you start riding out these new waves that are like beyond what you ever imagined possible. And then that is like love's way, because then forever you're living in this divine co-creative experience. Now there's no going back to that dream spell 3D reality. It's like there's no resonant connection with that anymore. And so there's only this like all to love world. There's only this little MJ, like, hey, MJ, like, which is really fun. And I'm so happy that I get to share it with you. I'm literally having these moments of insight, like as I speak, as I share them with you. And it gives me great joy to feel this loving connection with a world and a community of people that are also endeavoring their co-creative expansive bubble of love, knowing that somehow this is going to make all the difference, you guys. It really is. Deep survival. keep going no matter what. I mean, right? It's all there within us. As long as we're here, we're here. So we might as well make it fun. Make it a little bit of juicy fun in our own way. And like I've realized that that's a big part of the becoming your own self is like I've like sort of without even kind of realizing, you just end up having your own existence. And it is quite different, I would say, than a lot of I'm not particularly, and this is something where like I appreciate you guys, but I give you utmost sovereign respect. I'm not somebody endeavoring this kind of group consciousness of like, this is the right way. You guys should read my book and then you can be part of my, although there is a bit of that going on because there's products to sell, but like, in truth, that's not like where it's at. The truth is, I'm saying, like, figure yourself out and go live it. Go be the truth of your beingness. Go set up businesses. Go run free in the wild. Go break free from a job that you hate. Honor the truth of the love that you are and trust that love will show you the way. And the reason I can't give any guarantees is that that's up to you. There's no sales pitch in that regard. It's all just like free love, except it's not free because we live in an economy. And I'm under no illusions about that. And I appreciate your guys' donations on that level. I really do. And I got to say, it's really divine how things work out en flow. But when you're somebody used to living on the edge, I think there's perhaps just relevance and connection when it comes to that, because when there's no, apparent parameters or fear thresholds, that can often I don't know, create a vibrashe, because I honestly think that there's just a lot of intensity going on for most people. And for me personally, I'm increasingly like annoyed and mystified by ads and like, hi guys, so my life is super awesome. And so basically, although in like a weird way, it is awesome. I do love my life. It's like all the grandiosity of like the 3D matrix, like programming around the mainstream media, and like, I'm like, don't give your power away to people, you guys. Own your power, own your truth, and be the truth that you are. And buy my stuff. No, I um. Oh, hey, Revel. How are you? And Falcon, nice to see you here, you guys. Traverse the void. Nice. I know. Yeah, that's pretty much what every transformational cycle is like. There's like these like voidal spaces where you're just a little bit like, I'm not sure what I'm doing. And that's, I think, part of like taking risks in life. Anyone at any point in any area of life, when we take a risk, we know when we're doing something based on a feeling means that we're doing something that's invisible, i.e., it's not necessarily obvious to other why we make choices that we make, because it's not based in the illusion, it's not based in practicality, it's not based in fear. All the external constructs that we have that give us a sense of security are inherently false, especially those that are attached to the system, the energy, the resources, the economy. That all like has very unstable footing. Hence why we're seeing all these like uprisings and protests and people fighting back. Like, people are in unrest. Humanity is in unrest because the energies are literally like pressing down on our energetic to invoke the like like start embodying the change, right? And I can't necessarily advise for people in your different situations. I'm just over here in my own little world doing my own little thing. In encouraging people to find love. I know, and I know sometimes that can be the most challenging thing to do, but I believe in it wholeheartedly. I've seen the miracles it's performed in my own life, and I know that it's not black and white. I know that it's something unique to everybody. How you connect to love is like how you connect to God, how you connect to source, how you connect to the universe, how you connect to your higher self, your Holy Spirit, whatever it is. It's this connection. And you're either connected or you're not. You're either connected or you're making excuses. You're either connected or you're running away or running in circles. There's like, it's visceral. Once we make that connection and once we really consciously tune into it, you don't want to come out of it. You don't want to go back to playing those games anymore. And when you know. And it's not up to anybody else to know for you, you know? And that's why there's like space. And I encourage myself, even on this channel, to like drop in and out as and when it feels right, to take full ownership and full command, you know? And to actually allow people to say what they want to say and be who they want to be. That's allowed. People are allowed to have a different perspective. People are allowed to have a different experience because they do, and we will. And that's the whole awesomeness of it. But we can all, like, we can get distracted and pulled out and pulled into different things going on around us. And we can always just come back and rest. Sometimes we might need separation. We might need isolation. We might need space. We might need to go in nature. We might need to do any number of things. But we might need to start a YouTube channel. You know, we have, our heart is always giving us these little nudgings. We just have to get out of the practice of constantly going to the mind and be like, is it practical? Is it da, 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 da? Sometimes you just have to feel it, know it, and move on it and trust. And here's the wild thing is that you really don't know. We don't, my mind, how I ended up getting to this point, I could not have ever controlled it, which is part of the reason obviously I've done what I've done. Because I ended up in this very open space and this very anchored, supported, loving space. And I'm just saying, oh man, Sam, intuish, like, how did you know? Like, how did you know? And then, but that's the miracle of just surrendering and living the intuition and like having to go through some shitty downturns, but then having faith even when you're going in the downturns and like things aren't working out how you expected. And then you have all those more lessons about detachment and expectation and blah, 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 blah. And yet each day you can show up and be like, actually, things are getting better. Oh, look at that. You know, the wheel of fortune is coming round. We're starting this new cycle, and the cycle is we're all together in this, which is making it even more like tantalizing and fresh. So I think we've got some pretty like cool and exciting times. I think I saw John there at one point as well. Tree hugger. Oh, the ranks. You guys are awesome. Massively awesome. Amit was around. I've already had some chats with peeps in different parts of the world this morning. So yeah, I appreciate you guys big time. You can probably like see it, you know, like just feeling lifted, ups and downs. Um, I will always like update you on the progress, you know. Revel, I know, dude. But this is where I'm like, the truth of like the just the heart share is our our connection makes it worth going. Keep going. But I'm not somebody who's gonna be like, stay positive, even though I probably that shit does spew out of my mouth from time to time. But I am still like, that's cool. Like have I'll still be like heart love vibrashe and like virtual hugs, even when you're having a negative shitty day. I have that a lot. That's part of the I think the divine connection of me being guided to share on YouTube is like literally like this can often be like the best part of my day. Like getting myself aligned to share from my heart and like show up and like have people also be attracted to this channel and then be like, see? And like you're the guys' little messages about like, thank you, or like your shares did this, or you helped me see this. I'm like, because my 3D reality has been not always that. As in like the reason I have these insights is this empathic awareness of like how I also feel like I've kind of been like used up by the world in my 3D reality sometimes, or like lied to and manipulated. And I'm like, yeah. Because in this incarnation, certainly as a human, I've never aligned. Like I've always been so connected that I was never really able to like lie and steal and cheat. I did try. I did that stuff. It just didn't it always ended in toxic patterns which got worse and worse and worse until And like, I'm here to tell the tale that like truly your connection point, but part of it is also discerning and deciphering in this weird corrupted reality around privilege and spirituality and all this stuff, because I see a lot of bullshitty manipulation going on in all industry and tactic, which is again, I guess, a weird part of us all sharing, because we all have these unique perspectives, which is all helpful to all of us unraveling this enslavement, control, domination perspective world. And rather us going, okay, well, this really isn't working out for us. So, hey, guys, hey, is anyone not vibrating that anymore? Like, okay, so we have to endeavor to share from a heart space of like, let's see if we can come up with something better. And then share from that place, connect in that space, which is why we share and connect here, because we hope to kind of lift each other up in some way. And also share co-creative vision. So it's like all of us in some miraculous unfolding could end up having different pockets of land in different parts of the world that we could technically all share. And because we align on certain wavelengths of co-creation, we can assist one another through our imagination to help make all of this manifest. It's like the mastermind. It's like the body of Christ. It's like this ethereal, yeah, it's in the heavens and like it's coming down, and like we're starting to embody it more, and then we're unifying this, what we call the new paradigm awareness, which isn't the new world order. It has nothing to do with power and domination, which we're finding as it works it from within us, and how we're all being divinely guided on these mysterious like physical journeys is all part of like this amazing divine plan, this cosmic co-creative plan for life on earth, which as we continue to unveil ourselves, we're aware that like there's these different waves of like human awakening, and we're all like, okay, we're ready, we're getting ready for the next wave, you guys. So that's this, again, me sharing, you guys showing up, it's all part of like the co-creative experience, which, because I'm not trying to dominate it or control it, it's just coming from this open heart space. So all we can keep doing is have faith, and yet intend to manifest love's way, intend to be love's way, and like trust that what feels good for you is true for you and right for you in this moment, and that can always change. That's part of also living in this transparency void, is like compassion. We're going to keep changing, we're going to keep learning, we're going to keep unfolding, but we certainly have a broad sweeping awareness that we are moving into uh like a more ethereal realm, a higher realm of existence, which is more presence, more filled with light, more enlightened, right? So there's like, that's the alchemical transformation that's taking place as we continue to move through these like binary solar systems, which are impacting the Earth's, field, basically, which we're Earth. We That's part of the contract. Like, we're here for Earth. Boom! Like, whatever we're in for. And then there's this whole story happening, which we're all a part of, and yet there's like stories up beyond stories beyond stories, and depending on where we're kind of hooking into on a vibrational level, that's part of like the imprint that we're also shining into this realm, which is incredibly like, what a gift. Like, that's, I guess, the whole thing of like gratitude for life itself, or like God or whatever. You're just like, oh my God, life is just amazing, isn't it? It really is. At the same time, let's not be in denial of the depth of it too. That's like, with great power comes great responsibility. We don't want to go back. We don't want to go over the same lessons again. We don't, it's like, recognize the pattern and then shine light onto it. And then we're moving through it. We're not here to make excuses. We're not here to justify, oh, shitty behaviors. We're here to be like, not any more, enough. Thou shalt not pass. Like, this is the deep shit that's happening inside us, and yet we're going to see the outworking happening in waves in the collective manifestation, because again, that which is happening inside is before This is happening inside of us before it's making manifest in the planetary. So we've basically just been mucking through, clearing all of our past, and now we're preparing to embody our future, right? And yet we're just still in the clear out. So hence this idea of we're in this phase of now just holding space, holding space, holding space, watch it all move through and feel it. Ah, okay. You know, and then it feels like it's all just moving faster and faster. And yeah, but we're always in patterns. In the fact that we brush our teeth every day, we're creatures of comfort ultimately, and there's nothing, I don't think, wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with patterns, but except if they're low level shitty ones, if they're ones that are creating boredom, because boredom isn't that which we need. I'm talking about like certain patterns or rituals that anchor us into a better feeling place. And then hopefully that gives us more freedom in our lives rather than restriction, because obviously we're not looking for the patterns that feel like ugh, ugh, boring and restrictive. Look for the ones that seem to create this like freedom flow, i.e., sometimes sitting in meditation can help us create more sense of freedom, even though it requires discipline in the first instance, right? Interesting, you guys. Hi. Patterns are signs of sleepers. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right. And that's again the awareness of the frequencies that the patterns are coming from, which is just anything to do with where we're vibrating, right? Of how entrenched, perhaps, in any pattern, it doesn't matter what it is, how entrenched. And again, if a pattern gets thrown off, if we like freak out because we can't have the breakfast that we wanted, or like if it totally destables our emotional sense of security, that's also probably a low level pattern, because it's highlighting a weakness in our species as far as like adaptability. Be ready for anything but from this like sprightly, again, like new paradigm, like I can manipulation from within. So, you know, I don't know. That's we don't want to have to manipulation, but we basically own our shit. That's kind of the bigger difference as far as like being responsible creators. We own our shit, which then empowers us to walk away from low level abuse, low level patterns, because we have to continue to empower each other as we work out these different cycles where the low level ones are, which again are all within the inner compass, which in our society we've all been kind of programmed to conformity. So there's a default setting in mass consciousness to always find group consciousness, like to find conformity, like am I doing it right, is this the way, you know, the way. And that's the beauty of it, is that there's just some sort of resonant connection. There's no like trying to hook in or savior each other or any of that. There's just a like feedbacking and sort of like resonating on certain levels, right? Print rings within a tree, patterns. Yeah, yeah, yes, 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 yes. So that makes me think of how that's part of this paradigm shift, is that all we're doing is outworking limited, you could say unsacred geometric patterning based on a false program or a false construct of this reality, which is a domination construct versus a unity construct, and or like in harmony versus us becoming in harmony with sacred geometry, which is nature. And then we of course we come into our natural sacred patterning, which oh, that also gives me some insight. I was starting to noodle with like this phase that I'm in, as far as like having what I sense is like no, I have no like there's again, I'm working with certain things consciously, but there's no like food and sleep patterning anymore, like around, you know, eat 3 meals a day, or you're supposed to sleep here and sleep there. Like there's really none. It's just like up and down. And like I have my yoga class that show up to. I have online sessions that I show up to. I have you guys that I show up to usually, and like, and then my 3D friends, my people here that like I meet up with and have social time with. So I have these sort of physical anchors, but like as far as like food and like sleep, certain things that used to be like quite patterned, there's no pattern anymore. However, this thing about sacred, what I'm realizing is like, oh, wait, it's a bigger pattern than what I ever could have imagined, right? And yeah, your own flow. And this is where I can reflect back, like, yeah, keep going within, because it might be you have your own sacred geometric pattern, which is really quite different from anything we were programmed collectively. And I'm still from getting more connected to my feminine cycle and like having this broader awareness and perspective, still deducing and like looking at how do these patterns correlate. And I am starting to see certain patterns correlate. At the same time, I'm still working on like certain habits and yeah, shape shifting my reality. So it's like, and then I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm like, we're still continually works of art, right? Um, I like Mark Wahlberg. I like Mark Wahlberg. He seems to like want to talk about certain things. Persian sacred geometry. Mm-mm. No, I've not. No, it was just Tree Hugger who mentioned sacred geometry. And then that made me think about, yeah, that's like part of the paradigm shift is that we're aligning ourselves with our sacred geometry, which is in alignment with the sacred geometry of Earth, which again, in the 3D understanding, it just means that we feel better. Again, I know that the 3D people might perceive me as a total fucking crazy lady, but I don't care. Cause like, I have this deeper love connection with myself, and so other people's judgments don't bug me no more. And I have great compassion for just allowing and accepting people for where they are in their lives. So I'm not there to control or micromanage. So now I'm not getting that back because I'm not operating from any fear constructs. So this I'm witnessing this life shape shifting around me, which is then just reflecting back what I've been working on within myself, which is like, woohoo! Oh yeah, finally! Holy shit, it's intense, man. Doing all this transformation stuff, it's really quite powerful and deep and hardcore. And part of why we all get guided to share is because we all have this quite unique experience, and I think it's relevant to everyone else's awakening, i.e., the waves. Everyone, so and so's journey from 5 years ago was impactful to me. I'm not still like watching their stuff or use or investing or whatever there, because like then eventually we all just drop into our alignment and the life of our purpose continues to unfold. It doesn't stay like stuck here. There's no end goal necessarily from this moment in time other than knowing the kind of higher vision of what I'm imagining for this next phase of my life. But at the same time, I want this to always be a part of it, in truth. Although I know I can't like hold on. It might be that it naturally ebbs and flows, but I'm like, yeah, I want to keep sharing the life unfolding with the people in the world and like hope to share it in the physical as well. That's the point, right? I don't know why I'm doing. I feel like it's some kind of like revel the music connection of just like I don't know why I'm getting inspired to have like a movie, a boogie and a dance. Hi Daniel, how are you? Hi magic people. But also that's like when I can feel the delirium setting in. So I'm like, I think I should go because I'm just talking boo. I'm talking a bunch of bullshit. But this is a nice share. Again, like I started it off with just like, I love when I get love stuff because it's all to love, obviously. And usually if I'm getting like something about love, there's like a nice lovey vibrashe going on over here versus when I'm like, hey guys, it's MJ. It's nice to laugh with you as much as it's nice to cry with you. And I have no shame or nothing to hide on either end of the spectrum, but I prefer being able to share on this like lighthearted note and know that like I'm clearing out some destructive like toxic patterning layer by layer, process by process. Daniel, we should go do a jam one day. Yes, you guys. I do love the online jam session connections, by the way, which is pretty badarse. What is LAFU? I don't even know what the hashtag, whatever they're called. I don't know what they mean as fertilizer. What? We go green with that love. All right, you guys. I think that's me done now. I always enjoy you guys. I thank you anyway, you guys, for your comments, just for being here. Again, it's like, yeah, a really joyful part of my day, and I'm very, very grateful for your presence in life, for the way we co-create and share, and the way we hold one another's vision in the highest, in the highest harmonic, in the highest, like, whatever in the highest good of all is. That's what we're vibrating, basically. Love you guys. Have an awesome day. I really appreciate the biofeedback, and I look forward to these every day. Keep up all of the awesome love, hot vibrashe, you guys, and I'll speak to you real soon. Take care. Lots of love.